Hey everybody, Paul from the Fan Voice here, and I'm here today to give my impressions of the Star Wars Episode 7 film. Before I start this review, we'll have heavy spoilers, so if you have not seen the film, turn this video off right now, and we'll watch it after you have seen the movie. But getting right into it, let's start with the story. To me personally, I think they relied way too much on nostalgia. What I mean by that is there were way too many plot points that basically reflected the original film. Some of those plot points include the beginning where a droid is entrusted with a very essential message and ends up wandering the desert to come to the hands of a local. And then later in the movie, we find out that the vessel of the villains it's basically a Death Star, but much bigger, and it's also destroying planets. And then it has very similar imagery here and there about destroying the Death Star by going through this long hallway thing and then attacking a center point kind of thing. And there were a couple others, but all of these, to me, basically gave away Han Solo's death. I know a lot of people predicted this one way or another, but for me, it was the plot points of the film, because that scene ended up reflecting Ben Kenobi or Obi-Wan Kenobi confronting Darth Vader. So right when that started, I was very sure he was going to die. So of course with every reboot or extension, nostalgia is a very good thing, but I don't think Star Wars is a franchise that has to rely on that so heavily. For many people, and me included, our hearts just melted seeing the old cast in the film again. Of course, there's the scene with Han Solo and Chewbacca returning, but I even got really charmed seeing C-3PO randomly pop in one scene. So, yeah, you definitely need to have some nostalgia in that, but it doesn't need to control the story entirely of a new film. So, let's move on to the characters. I really enjoyed the protagonists of the film, but the antagonists I thought were kind of lacking. So, let's start with Rey and Finn. They have some really nice chemistry, and they're interesting characters, you know. Rey is definitely the best character in the film, total badass, and just really interesting. Some stuff they left us hanging on, which I think could be good, about her abandonment on this planet in one way or another that we're not sure of, which I thought was handled really nice through kind of a Force vision kind of thing. And then I really enjoy Finn because he's so flawed, you know. I think it makes him a lot more relatable of a character, that he's not doing everything right the first time, and he's really the only conscious stormtrooper, which was interesting. I wish I could have seen a few more stormtroopers take off their helmets to give a little more humanization to the stormtroopers, but those first scenes seeing him as a soldier really helped put on a different perspective of that. Another thing that was kind of weird to me was in that first battle when he saw, I guess, his comrade die, or one of his fellow soldiers dies. He got totally shook up by that. But when he wanted to escape, he was basically blasting an entire fleet of soldiers with that ship. So, not the worst offense in my opinion, but I did notice that as something kind of weird. But all around, the chemistry between the two was really fun and interesting. And BB-8, I really enjoyed BB-8 because when I first saw him, I thought him being on a ball was really gimmicky, but after seeing the movie, I realized why they did that, because just the rotation of his head gives so much more opportunities of personality for this droid, and that worked out really, really well. So it was actually a really smart decision to make him like spherical shaped with a head like that. So good job on that. So let's move to the villains. The most anticipated two were Captain Phasma and Kylo Ren. First off with Captain Phasma. She's a stormtrooper captain with shiny armor, but we really didn't get to see her do that much, and then she ended up being apprehended very, very quickly, which was really disappointing. I don't know what else to say about that, but she just didn't get that much good screen time, in my opinion. And then with Kylo Ren, he's definitely an interesting character who has both light and darkness struggling within him, and I'm sure we're going to see much, much more of that in the next two films. I also think it's interesting how he's just so controlled by his emotions kind of thing. But all around, I think my problem is how weak he ended up being in the film, and I'm referring specifically to the final battle. I had a lot of problems with the final battle because Rey ended up winning. Say what you will about the Force, but this somewhat experienced villain, not fully, but he has a fair deal of experience and training, and he loses to someone who had never picked up a lightsaber before. Even with the Force, I just can't buy that. And her power-up tool was closing her eyes for a second and saying the Force. You know, it just reminded me of the power-up mechanics of Bleach, where he'd just space out and suddenly get a lot stronger. I really, really just don't like that mechanic. But there were a lot of positive things to that battle. The damage to the characters and environment by the lightsabers, those were great. Of course, I'm sure a lot of people really appreciated that snow scene, like hearing the snow just like psst on the lightsaber. That gave so much environmental effect, which was really good. And also, characters receiving battle damage from lightsabers without that being the end of the battle. Okay, now in the past, there have been so many lightsaber battles where basically they wouldn't get touched until someone was killed or a limb was chopped off, and that would be the end of the fight. But this is much more realistic, where there are certain parts of a lightsaber that will scar or like tinge or whatnot. So they did a great job with that lightsaber battle. Another thing, there were a great deal of fantastic visuals. I think the scenes that really stand out in my mind is when the laser is shot for the first time. Of course, it shows destroying the planets, but like zooming past the ship or seeing the strength of the laser, or it coming up in front of the entire army, just really did a great job of showing the magnitude of this destruction. Another scene that comes to my mind is the scene where Han Solo confronts Ben or Kylo Ren, and it does that great lighting effect where it shows basically darkness consuming his heart when the sun is absorbed. And all around, the cinematography was much more daring. There was essentially there were a lot more close-up shots that I appreciated. It looked more intimate, which I kind of felt from the trailers and was the most hyped about compared to the prequels, where everything seemed to be like a wide shot showing, oh, look at all these special effects that are going on kind of thing. But no, the cinematography was much better in this film. And of course, the script was so J.J. Abrams. And what I mean by that specifically was the humor. And I really, really love the humor, because I think the social side of it and his timing are brilliant and impeccable and just feel so natural and at the same time quirky. You know, you feel like it's a little something that could happen in real life, but it's put into this fantasy world kind of thing. So as always, J.J. Abrams does a great script with humor. All around, I did enjoy the film, but didn't think it was perfect. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and yeah, just let me know what you guys think about the movie. If you think you can defend some of the points that I thought made the movie flawed, tell me. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. So yeah, until next time, I'll see you guys later.